watched the partial procession of the Trays Festival where the women were wearing the headpieces. And of course, we wore ourselves out. That's the excuse. We're about to bike, I think, 25 kilometers. So we're indulging in breakfast. What you have before you is a ham and cheese croissant, a donut that I'm going to assume has chocolate in it. And Brian, you have
a sausage pastry here and a chicken-filled pastry here.
And of course, Coke Zero with a wine glass. Why not?
Because we're classy like that. Good morning. It is day 6 of riding, and we left Tomar this morning, and we are heading to Alviazere, and I maybe pronounced that right.
Oh, wow. We biked 28.1 kilometers, and it was hot.
It was kind of hot. It wasn't really crazy hot, but it was an interesting day. Starting the morning with processions of trays in the morning and seeing all of those different villages bring out their best decorated designs, and it was a big contest, so we got to see that. It went on for about 2 hours that we saw, and it seemed like there would be a procession which would last maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and then about a 15 or 20 minute break, and then another procession.
It lasted so much longer than we stayed. We just couldn't stay that long.
It was going on, and they kept telling us that that was the small day because it was only the partial procession. So apparently on Sunday, it's a much, much larger procession with more people and a little more fast paced.
Yeah, and I think instead of doing like breaks in the villages, they do a village after village after village. And so it's just one long procession. I kind of enjoyed the breaks. We stopped and had breakfast during one of the breaks. So
it was really nice.
But it was beautiful. Like, you would never see anything like this in the States. They work way too hard than people do in the States now. I mean, I think about when we were in high school and homecoming floats and how creative we got and all the tissue paper we used. And this is nothing like that. This is a lot like that, which the kids don't do anymore today.
Just way bigger. I couldn't believe how elaborate it was.
Yeah.
And then the ride, as you're going to see in the video coming up, is just a beautiful ride through some valleys and some hills. Nothing big climbing.
Eucalyptus.
But just gorgeous views. Cork forests, eucalyptus, and groves of olive trees. And
it was a quiet ride, which was really nice. There wasn't a lot of traffic. We assume a lot of people were in Tomar. But there wasn't a lot of traffic, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful ride, which we really enjoyed.
So enjoy the video for today.
Thanks.
So this grove of trees is oak cork, and we know that because you can see where the bark has been peeled off the tree. So cork is harvested every 7 to 10 years by peeling the bark from the tree, and then they write on the tree when the next harvest is. So that would probably be in 2028 that these trees would be harvested again. And you can see where the bark has been peeled off at this lower section, and then the bark grows back. So this whole grove of trees is cork. And then over here,
We're on the Camino.
eucalyptus, and you can see that cork tree has been peeled back.
Hey Brian, you can tell we're on the Camino because they'll pick you up right here.
Oh, the albergay.
Call the albergay and they'll pick you up right here. See? Taxis are everywhere.
That's an amigo at that albergay.
9 minutes. 19. Distance 8 kilometers. 14.1 miles per hour. Cruise speed 14.1 kilometers per hour. You have arrived.
So as we walk into our albergay for tonight, Tiladero, this is a rural house, bed and breakfast style. They have 2 rooms, both private. One has a king-size bed, the other one has 2 single beds. Michelle sitting out here under the olive trees. They have a small pool, although we're told the water's still a little too cold to get in. And then here's the main room. Beautiful little sitting room. Dining area, kitchen. Good morning.
Good morning.
Cruisin with Colemans here again. It is day number 7 of riding, and if this looks a lot like day number 6, it's because we just walked across the street to shoot the video. So we're riding day number 7.
We're so creative.
And
hey, but now you have vines, vineyards.
Grapevines. Yes,
vineyards
there's a little
behind me.
vineyard here
Yeah.
behind us. So we are riding today we are almost at Alviazera. We stopped a little short last night at our bed and breakfast that we were at. And we are riding to the village of Rabasol, which I think I'm pronouncing incorrectly. But if you're looking at the guidebook, you'll probably figure it out based on what I'm saying.
Yeah, and there'll be a crawl on the bottom that says where we are. The temperature is even better than it was yesterday, which is fantastic. It's like about 69 degrees Fahrenheit right now. It's only going to get up to 75, so great temperatures. A little longer in the ride, but I'm hoping it's just as beautiful as it was yesterday. I don't even think we have as much elevation as yesterday.
No, there's not quite as much elevation today.
So.
I think it's about 150 to 200 meters of climbing and about the same amount of downhill. We have about 30 kilometers to ride. We're going to make a stop at the halfway point for our brunch. It's Sunday, so it'll be interesting to see what we find open.
Ooh, didn't think about
the
that.
village that we're stopping in has 2 cafes for our nighttime stop. 2 cafes in the entire village, and one of them is closed on Sundays. But we've already confirmed with the hostel
we know
that
we'll
we're
get
staying
dinner.
at that they do have dinner at their cafe. So we know we've got dinner at least. And we'll see what today brings us.
But for right now, enjoy the views around us.
Adios.
All right. Good morning from the Camino. We've been... Go ahead.
We rode about 20 kilometers, so we're about almost 2/3 of the way to our destination.
Which means we've been riding on the Camino Portugués for a week now. So I've been giving my foot a week of rest. Unfortunately, on day 1, I fell on the bike and badly bruised my pinky toe on my bad foot. So I'm a glutton for punishment this
Wasn't
trip.
totally her fault. We were riding through a field because that's where the Camino went. Sorry, there's a fly. We were riding through a field because that's where the Camino took us. And there were big tractor ruts.
Big.
So we were riding through one of the tractor ruts and it got really deep and her pedal clipped the side of the rut. And that kind of caused her to lose her balance. Over she went.
I've ripped my shoe a little bit, so it's been interesting.
So day 1 and 2, we rode on the Camino and pretty much stuck to the Camino strictly. Day 3, we did a little bit of riding off of the Camino because we were like, okay, these fields and the dirt roads are really tough.
Yeah.
So we, a couple places went off the Camino to stay on the road. And then really from day 4 on, we've stuck completely to the road, which basically means each morning we are checking the route and kind of figuring the route as we go each day, following the Camino roughly, but staying on the roads.
Well,
and then the Camino kind of zigzags back and forth
Yeah.
across our path every now and then.
And the kilometers are about the same. But honestly, the terrain, it's not like the Camino Frances where on the Camino Frances it'll say, okay, bikes go this way or, walkers go this way. There's nothing like that. And so you really have to make the decision what's best for you.
Many people have said to us that the Camino Portuguese is not nearly as developed as the Camino Frances, and that is true. We've also heard some locals say that the Camino Portuguese is like the Camino Frances was 20...
Sorry.
That the Camino Portuguese is what the Camino Frances looked like 20 or 30 years ago. And I could see that because there's definitely not the infrastructure for pilgrims that there is in Spain on the Camino Frances. Now, I'm sure once we get past Porto, that's going to change significantly.
But it's also really what we are enjoying about the Camino Portuguese. I mean, it's quieter. So we're certainly taking a holiday. I mean, we're done riding. We don't start until 10 and we're done by, 1 or 2. And
that's including a half-hour break for a lunch.
Sit here and talk to you for a little while. But we're not riding that long, and these villages don't have anything to do. It's not like we have a bunch of churches that we can go into. The Camino Frances, we go into churches all the time. We really don't have that.
As we go through most of these villages, the doors are closed and locked. Again, because the tourist aspect is not nearly as prevalent here.
Yeah. And so, again, it's enjoyable because it's so different. If you're looking for action, if you're looking for a lot of things to do, you're not going to find that. Where we stayed last night, we got in around 2, and there was nothing to do except play with the dogs and wander around looking at the chickens, but there really wasn't anything. And it was nice. I mean, we played our dice game, and we took a little nap, and yeah, it was nice.
The other thing you're not going to find on the Camino Portuguese between Lisbon and Porto are pilgrims.
We've seen some, but
we've met a few.
Yeah.
So far in 7 days, we've not come across any other Americans.
Right.
We've met several people who speak English, but that were pilgrims. But we really have come across very, very few pilgrims overall. And the last 2 or 3 days, since we've been mostly on the road, we've not seen any pilgrims whatsoever. And then, of course, last night that was compounded by the fact that we were staying in a bed and breakfast that was a little off the Camino. So there was only one other couple there, and they were on a holiday, a driving vacation.
They were from Germany?
They were from Bavaria.
Now, tonight we will see pilgrims because we're staying in only one of 2 albergues, and it's the suggested stop in several of the guidebooks that are available. Like all 3 guidebooks suggest stopping here. And there's only 2 albergues, and how many beds altogether?
It's a total of 40 beds in this village.
The whole village, 40 beds. So that tells you how small the Camino Portuguese is.
Along this segment.
In terms of numbers. But again, it's really enjoyable. The scenery is beautiful, as you've seen in our videos. I'm not complaining a bit about it. I really have enjoyed the scenery. Today we climbed up over a mountain, and then we climbed down a mountain, which was nice.
We went, I think, almost 4 kilometers without having to pedal, which was fantastic.
Nice, because my thighs were already screaming at me from going up the mountain.
So for all those people who say don't do the Camino Portuguese between Lisbon and Porto,
we disagree.
I would say do it, but make sure your expectations are in check because it is not the Camino Frances. It is not even the Camino Norte or Primitivo. It is very different here. And also, the language is incredibly different. I think we've talked about it before, but Portuguese is very different from Spanish, and it can be kind of complicated.
A lot of people speak English. I mean, it really hasn't been too terrible. We're good at pointing at food, and so we can eat, and we can say reservation, and so, I mean, it's not bad. Not bad at all.
It's a beautiful trip. But it's certainly...
Manage your expectations.
Yeah, you're going to have to really kind of know what you're getting yourself into because it is not the same kind of Camino.
Yeah. All right.
All right, so it's time for us to
go by.
Yeah. it's time for us to get back on the road and see what the rest of the day brings us.
Bom Camino.
Bom Camino. Hello, Michelle.
Hello.
So we have reached our albergue, and we each have our priorities. Michelle has found a pool with jets, and I have found wine and cheese. We have a fresh cheese here, which is made with sheep's and goat's milk. And then we have a cured cheese, which I believe is the same. It's just been cured and is a little more dried. And this area is known for their cheese and for their wine. And we have a little bottle of wine also. That's a local wine. So, yay! So as you can hear, it is 6 o'clock, the church is telling us, and it is time for our Pilgrim Dinner. We were sitting at the cafe outside of our albergue, and the woman who runs the albergue and has been running the cafe all day came out and told us that, in Portuguese, that our dinner was ready, but it wasn't there, it was at another place. So we followed her down the street to a restaurant that is closed, and she walked us in, and this is what we've come to for our dinner that is now ready.
We paid €7 for our dinner tonight, which included a soup and a main dish and wine and bread. In Portugal, you get some buttered. We've gotten some really amazing butter, but this time we got just a tiny butter packet. And apparently Brian's has herbs in it, but mine doesn't. And then we have this soup that was just warmed up in the microwave, though I'm thoroughly grateful for. And it, let's see, what does it taste like? It kind of tastes like chicken noodle soup. I'm intrigued. I like it. I'm gonna have one. The soup was amazing. Fortunately, she let me finish it before she took it away. And now every dish in Portugal comes with chips. A lot of times it's French fries. This is actual like potato chips, rice, a little bit of salad. And what's amazing about the salad is it has tomato and cucumber, and it's delicious. The meat tonight is pork. I haven't tried it yet. Haven't tried any of this. But it looks outstanding. Yeah, delicious. Okay, so a lot of pilgrims have walked in, and we've helped them understand that we're laughing because we don't understand Portuguese. But
Michelle has become the translator.
I have been, because they keep coming in here and wanting a menu, and we're like, no.
Michelle is the blind leading the blind.
I am. But we've helped them to understand that you can only get the pilgrim menu tonight, because apparently on Sundays on the Camino Portugués you can't get much of anything. So we've helped people understand that you can get fish or chicken. That's it. But now we're on course 3, and we have the option of kind of a jello meets custard type of thing, or what looks more like a custard meets caramel. So we're gonna try it. Oh my God, I hope it's good. Okay, so it's definitely custard with a little bit of caramel swirl. So, it's good.
The other thing looked like a Methodist church Jell-O salad, except instead of whipped cream, it was like pudding.
This is pretty good, but we have more wine, and that makes everything good. So, cheers. Bom Camino.
So apparently throughout the afternoon today, we have spent enough money on wine that when we went after dinner and asked for a digestif, we got a glass of port, and we've spent enough money that we didn't have to pay for it, because he just gave us a glass of tawny port for free.
But he gave us something special, in my opinion, because you asked for cherry brandy.
But he decided we should drink the port instead.
Yeah.
So, cheers.
Cheers. Or ching ching.
Good morning, it's Cruising with Colemans.
Good morning.
And we are in a lovely little albergue called O Bonito, which you saw our dinner last night, and we're here in our room this morning. So here it is. It's a pretty typical room. We have 3 beds in this room, and we reserved it as a private room. So it's kind of...
And that door you see right there is our bathroom. And it's right next to the other bathroom. We got to hear everyone
getting up
and showering.
But it was, what was the price? €15 a person.
I think it was 30 euro. And then it was €7 a person for dinner. And yeah, they have a pool out here that we'll show you when we leave. So it's really honestly a great albergue. This is one of the small rooms with a private bathroom. There's bigger rooms, so you'll get to see that.
They have bunks too.
Yeah.
So we are in Rabasol, I think that's the way it's pronounced, and we are going to Coimbra today. It's about 29 kilometers by road. We're gonna make some planned pit stop at a set of Roman ruins, which are only 17% excavated, but apparently have a lot to see.
Yeah.
So we're gonna look at those. The Roman ruins date back to the 2nd century BC. So that's gonna be kind of exciting because we haven't gotten to see anything like that yet.
Plus we have the time.
And we have the time.
Which is nice. Yeah, so the temperature is gonna be really great today. The Accu window says that it's mostly sunny, but the forecast says it's mostly cloudy, so I don't know which one's right. I'm gonna go with the window over here. It's only like 66 degrees, it's getting up to 75, low wind. So I think it's gonna be a pretty perfect day.
Does seem pretty nice. Tonight in Coimbra, it's a bigger town. It's the university is there. It's known as one of the first universities in Europe and the first in Portugal. And we are going to go hear some Fado do Coimbra, which is a Fado music that is specific to this region. And yes, for those of you who are concerned, I think I'm going to see if I can maybe find a haircut today. So
I think at some point I'm going to have to deal with all this gray color coming in. But we'll see. We'll see. It's pilgrim life. I mean, you're not going to see any of us looking gorgeous in these videos.
They say the Camino provides, so we'll see what we'll find tonight. All right, so we'll take some video on our way out of the rest of the albergue, and then we're going to hit the road. All right, so again, here's our little room and our bathroom. And upstairs here, apparently the upstairs is relatively newly renovated. So upstairs there's a private room that's got, I think, 2 beds in it. Here's a private room with a double bed. There's another private room here with 1 single bed. And then I think this room was a dorm room. Here is a typical bunk room. And here's another one. And we have a little kitchenette that we can use. If we wanted to prepare our own food, you can use the kitchen to cook. A little vending machine for snacks. And then here's the little pool area, which is quite nice. We are in the Roman ruins of Moringa. The area was first settled almost 2,000 years ago during the Bronze Age. The Romans came in around the 2nd century BC and were here until about the Middle Ages in the 9th or 10th century. And it is the largest archaeological site in Portugal. Tell us what we're looking at.
In the 1st century and demolished by the end of the 3rd century, beginning of the 4th, due to construction of a late imperial wall.
House of Fountains is one of the best preserved buildings in the town. It was an aristocratic home. You can see beautiful mosaics on the floor. There are also little examples of murals that were painted on the walls, which are still visible. All right, so we have been riding on the IC2, which is a pretty major highway, but it did still allow bicycles and horses, carts, and livestock, ironically. We've gotten off of that road. This is the IC2 by itself. Where we were riding was actually busier than this. And we are heading into Coimbra, which is right there. And on the hillside, you can see the old town. So that is where we are headed for tonight, is that spot right there in the center of the screen. After dropping off our bikes, taking showers and cleaning up and doing our laundry, it was time to go off to explore the city. As you saw in the first photos, Coimbra is built on the side of a hill coming up from the river, so there's lots of climbing as usual. It's also a beautiful city housing one of the oldest colleges in Europe. Our first order of business was to find some lunch, and lucky for us, we heard about a wine bar that did cheese tastings also, so that sounded perfect. Coimbra is also known for a special genre of music called Fado de Coimbra. It features a guitar, a Portuguese guitar, and exclusively male singers, and has been around for over 100 years. We booked a concert, and the rest of the music that you're going to hear is from that performance.
Okay, so we're having dinner on this beautiful plaza. It's absolutely fantastic. We're in the village, the city of Coimbra. And
Fourth largest city in Portugal.
This is a church, yeah, fourth largest city in Portugal. Ice cream signs, they're everywhere. I'm having a pretty basic dinner with a burger and an egg on it, but it has condiments, and that's kind of unusual. House wine. But the most interesting thing to tell you about tonight is Brian.
So I have what is called francesinha, which is considered to be the national dish of Portugal. It is, think of an American hot shot. So it's 2 slices of bread, but inside is ham, steak, pork, and chorizo, which kind of looks like a hot dog, covered in Edam cheese, a spicy tomato sauce, and a fried egg. So yeah, there's a lot going on here. Let's cut it open, see what it looks like.
Brian is so brave.
Here it is.
I have a burger.
There's all the meaty goodness. And I don't even know where to start on this thing, but I'm just gonna take a big bite here and see what happens. Oh.
Eventually he'll get a bite.
All right, here we go.
What's the verdict, Brian?
That's a lot of meat.